This is a new channel for us, but one that's been recommended a lot. Tierzoo.
Are you recording?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
So
Yes.
this is a channel that we are reacting to for the first time, and it's been recommended to us a lot.
So many times over the years.
That's right.
So many
Tierzoo
times.
is the name of it, and this is America's secret top tier animal. What have we been keeping a secret from everybody?
Well, we just watched Casual Geographic's videos about animals you might have forgot about, or maybe just didn't know. So I wonder if any of those are going to be on this list.
The raccoon dog. Raccoon dog.
But we don't have those in America.
I know.
So
I'm just
what
saying,
is
that's one from that
America's
video,
secret?
and I thought it was the coolest because it had big testes and sake and money. For this one, I think that it could be the possum, because people don't understand how awesome is the opossum.
I mean, I love possums.
Yeah.
I would love to have a possum.
Or the armadillo.
I think armadillos are sick.
They're pretty cool. They're like rubber
armadillo, raccoons, possums. I don't know. I wonder if is a caiman an American? They're in Florida.
What about
Because I didn't know that those existed.
What
I
about
always just thought they were
bobcats?
baby alligators or crocodiles.
bobcats are cool as shit.
Bobcats.
Yeah.
Where do platypuses?
Platypus. Platypi.
Where do they live? I really don't know that answer.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, we got a running list of animals that might pop up. Probably not. So let's see what is actually
let's
on
watch this channel. Let's see. I'm excited to see what this is all about because you guys have been ranting and raving about it, so it's probably going to be awesome. Oh.
Cheetahs are low-tier trash. The fastest land build in the game has a ton of flaws in its game plan, which you could learn about in this video here if you like. But enough about cheetahs. What about the second fastest? Do you even know what it is?
No.
How does it stack up against its competition? I talk a lot on this channel about how overpowered the animals in the Africa server are. And while that's certainly true, the North America server also has its fair share of builds with ridiculously OP stats, including one little-known build with the second fastest run speed in the entire game.
What the hell?
You might expect it to be a type of big cat,
Deer?
maybe a close relative of the cheetah, like the mountain lion, or perhaps a type of cervid, like a deer or elk. But no, it's actually the smallest member of the giraffe family.
What?
One that most players probably wouldn't expect to be related to the giant that we know and love, the American pronghorn.
What the fuck?
Okay.
The pronghorn may not look like much, but it
Never
sports
seen
some
that.
pretty impressive stats, including the second highest base mobility stat of any terrestrial animal, with only the cheetah having a higher top speed. This makes it faster than every other build in the North America server by a substantial margin. Pumas, bears, and even wolves have essentially zero shot at closing the distance to a pronghorn player. Pronghorns have much more endurance than most predators, and are able to maintain these high speeds for significant distances,
That's crazy.
not just short sprints as most predators do. Pronghorns also have horns on their head which can deal decent damage in a pinch, although it's pretty rare they'd actually need to use them for anything other than dueling against each other. Still, these sharp, keratinized horns can definitely do some damage. Pronghorns aren't particularly stealthy because of their bright white back end. However, even with how noticeable they are, if you ever see a pronghorn, it's almost certain it sees you first. Their eyes are incredibly sensitive and can detect movement from 4 miles away.
Shit.
Because of their huge field of view, this makes it borderline impossible to sneak up on a pronghorn, unless your build has some insanely high-level stealth abilities. Pronghorns have one of the lowest HP stats of any North American ungulate. They of course share a server with builds like the elk, moose, and buffalo, all with a massive health bar, making them near impossible to bring down solo. Conversely, pronghorns rely entirely on their speed stat to keep them safe, and can't really afford to take any damage at all. For the most part, the pronghorn's general game plan works great. Because they have the ruminant ability, their food is abundant, as they're able to digest grass, shrubs, and even cacti if necessary. They also are able to consume plants that are toxic to builds like sheep, cattle, and horses. meaning they don't usually compete for resources with livestock. And so as long as they don't get careless, pronghorns are usually able to evade most conflict. So why is the pronghorn so uniquely fast? Its immense speed stat legitimately feels like overkill, and I would argue that in the current meta, it absolutely is. However, the pronghorn has been one of North America's top survivalists for a long time, through several balance patches and expansions. And during the Younger Dryas expansion, there were additional, speedier threats that the pronghorn player base had to contend with, namely the American lion and American cheetah. These felid builds were extremely dangerous to a lightweight, evasive style build like the pronghorn. The American cheetah in particular had a max speed stat roughly equivalent to its African and Asian counterparts, but was also bigger and bulkier than the modern cheetah. And so during that particular ranked season, the pronghorn wisely opted to max out its speed and endurance in order to evade attacks from these American felids. However, these felids were banned with the launch of the Holocene balance patch, leaving the pronghorn hugely overtuned for its remaining competition. Still, this didn't mean automatic success for the pronghorn. In fact, their player count was dwindling up until very recently. The reason for this is that pronghorns are extremely poor vertical jumpers, and so they're heavily impeded by any sort of barrier. They require open terrain with good visibility in order to remain competitively viable. So when human players started constructing barriers made of sharp metal, things got really dangerous really fast for the pronghorn. Most of the herbivore builds in the North American meta can easily clear the vertical of an average barbed wire fence, but pronghorn players usually opt to crawl under barriers if possible. Because of the pronghorn's low HP stat, even relatively mild chip damage from barbed wire fences can deal lethal damage to a pronghorn. This issue was really frustrating to deal with as a pronghorn main, and so most of them just opted to play characters with better vertical mobility. But eventually, the human player base realized how unfair this tech was, and opted to self-impose a ban on the tech in important areas. As a result, the pronghorn player base has recovered massively and is no longer at risk of collapsing.
Well, that's good.
So I don't know if I can quite give them an S-tier rank, since they're highly vulnerable to disruption if any sort of major balance patch imposes a lot of barriers into their territory. In addition to the obvious things like human structures, like roads and fences, any increase in woodland biomes would also severely hamper their ability to detect predators or run for long distances to escape. This is the main reason why pronghorns, despite still being faster than any of their potential competition, have failed to make an impact in biomes with less open spaces, such as the woodland tundra biome of the backcountry of Canada, or the jungles of Central America, where stealth-based builds like the puma and jaguar have more of an advantage.
Terrifying.
Now, to be fair, having an unfavorable matchup versus a jaguar isn't saying much. They are the undisputed top-tier predator throughout the entirety of the Central and South American jungle biome. But it would be impressive to see them diversify their playstyle a bit to see if they could be more competitive in less open terrain, as their other giraffoid ancestors used to be.
Look at that schnoz,
especially since the pronghorn's other main weakness is made worse by the fact that they spend time in completely open spaces. That weakness being their vulnerability to aerial attacks. With no tree cover, pronghorns have nowhere to hide from the one predator that actually is able to keep up with them, the golden eagle. They may be the second fastest land build in the game, but if you include flying builds, most birds beat this speed pretty easily, especially predatory birds. Still, it's hard not to respect a build that managed to adapt so effectively that its strategy hard countered the game plan of their main opponents, driving them to complete and total irrelevancy. Then again, is it really that big a flex that a variant of the cheetah build ended up not being viable in the current meta? I wouldn't be that surprised if, given enough time, the African antelope mains also started speccing into higher speed or greater bulk in order to invalidate the African cheetah's only favorable matchup. Anyways, with all that being said, I'm going to give the pronghorn the rank of A tier. This video is brought to you by my next video on rhinos, already up on Nebula. Pronghorns are successful despite having some of the smallest horns in the game. They're pretty much the polar opposite of the rhinoceros. I've mentioned the rhino in passing several times in recent videos, but I've never made an entire video dedicated to discussing their strategies, strengths, and weaknesses.
What the
That is, until now. I've got an entire video all about the rhino. It'll hit YouTube in a few months, but the full thing is already released on Nebula. Nebula is a streaming service owned and operated by and for creators like me, and thanks to their support, I can not only do these flashy edits, high-quality stock footage clips, and custom 3D animations, but I'm also now able to be one video ahead, 1 month in advance on Nebula. And it's not just me. Channels like Real Engineering and Extra Credits are also uploading their content one full video ahead. Not to mention high-quality exclusive originals like Real Life Lore's Modern Conflicts, which explores modern wars that couldn't possibly be captured with YouTube's restrictions. Or Real Science's Becoming Human, which uses gorgeous 3D animations to explore the evolution of the human build. Best part is, with my link, you'll get a 40% discount on the annual plans, which comes down to as little as $2.50 a month. So if you want to support me and every independent creator on Nebula, use the link down below to get the discount. Special thanks to all of my Nebula and Patreon subscribers, and thank you for watching.
Very cool stuff.
Oh God. Oh.
Bistroya says they can run 61 miles an hour.
Where the F do they live? I don't understand. That's insane. 61 miles an hour.
That is so crazy.
So I like this. It was very informative. It was a good pace. I like this content creator. I'm curious about the platform that he was talking about. But the only thing that I dislike is actually showing the brutality of nature. Just cut that
Lie
shit
to
out.
me. Lie to me, damn you.
Okay, lie by omission, okay? Like, I know it exists, but I just don't have to see it.
Yeah, I do sometimes get to the point where I'm just kind of like, you know what? I would rather not be around for this, you know, when it comes to nature documentaries or just, I mean, I know it is the reality of things, but I'm good. Like,
well, just like seeing the barbed wire, like it just breaks my heart.
Dude.
It just hurts me.
Doesn't it make you feel bad for
I
those
like
things?
animals way more than I've ever liked people, and so it's hard to see that.
It can be shitty, so, but I think that's fucking crazy. I had no idea that those things existed. Damn sure didn't know that they were like the second fastest mammal on Earth. It's incredible to see that like one of the only things that can catch them is a bird to swoop down and attack them. Like that's something you never think about, right? You think about, damn, you know, like there could be a snake that I step on, or what if I run into a grizzly bear or something like that. You don't think like if an eagle's pissed off enough, it's not a good day for you.
So I saw a video on TikTok where, and I think I might have told you this, but I don't remember if I did or not. But this lady was, I think, mowing outside, mowing her yard, and all of a sudden, a snake falls on her arm, out, like we would assume out of a tree, and wrapped around her arm, and so she's freaking out, you know.
Yeah.
And then a bird starts attacking her for taking her snake because it, like, I guess the
Dropped
snake
it out
got
of the
away.
tree.
No, it was like flying, and they were fighting, and the snake got away from the bird, so it dropped down and it fell on this lady and was like, "Save me!" or oh no, another obstacle.
You also,
yeah, and so she just had a real bad day.
Hell no. Hell no.
No.
Nature's crazy. Tierzoo is badass. This video was awesome, and so are you guys. Thanks for the recommendation.
Yeah.
We love you. We appreciate you, and we'll see you in the next one.
Guys.